Welcome back. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali, Monday edition. How you doing? Where you tuned in from? We're having very important conversations. If you're a student in school and you're wondering what it looks like outside when you're trying to get into the workspace, because you're seeing the situation where we're seeing students with placards, kobarabara, asking for a job, getting into the job market, and the skills that they thought they had for the space sio hizo zinatakikana pale, and they probably have to relearn and unlearn some of the things that they thought they knew. All of that is the conversation that we are having right now. It is time for Advice Circle. We have the Vice Chancellor, Umma University, Dr. Omar Farah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mikali.
I'm sure you have seen a bit of this happening in this country, especially where we have students who get into the job market, ama ameenda internship, akirudi, anasema, oh, I don't know how and this and this and this and this is happening. But before we get into the conversation of the day, probably you can tell us a bit more about Umma University.
Thank you very much once again, Mikali, for having me, and Switch TV for hosting me. Umma University is actually not a stranger to Switch TV. We've been here before, and Umma is one of the 74 universities that are currently accredited in Kenya. Our history is relatively short compared to the other universities. We started in 2013. We are based about 8 kilometers away from Kajiado town on the Nairobi-Namanga highway. And what I can say is that Umma has started at a time when universities were going through a revolution in terms of education and what we're going to talk about later on, employability for students, ensuring that students get the right sets of skills before they're sent away to the job market. And currently, Umma University has about 3,200 students, arranged around 5 schools: the School of Education, the School of Nursing, the School of Islamic and Sharia Studies, the School of Business and Technology, and the latest one is the School of Law and Sharia, where we're combining the conventional law with the Sharia law. And these are students who will have the best of both worlds. They will have the Sharia aspects, and they will also have the conventional law, and they will be able to become advocates and judges in our Kenyan court system. We look at Umma just like all other newly emerging universities as a business entity, and we provide end-to-end solutions for the student. So it's not just a matter of admitting you for a degree program, but we also look at your financing. We have a comprehensive financing program for the students that are studying at Umma. We have what is called the Umma University Student Support Program, in which we give interest-free loans and scholarships, depending on the performance of the student and what they really want to access. So there will be no student who will be admitted to Umma University who will not be able to finish their studies for lack of paying fees at that point in time. And these loans are done at interest-free over a period of time, so it's really a very manageable situation. And we have also invested in technology. We've invested in current infrastructure that is there. It's actually one of the latest. Just Google www.umma.ac.ke. You will see all our infrastructure there.
Great. And this is a very important conversation coming from you to help us understand what really happens when it comes to integrating students in the job market. We've seen students who leave university and they come out, there's not enough absorption of that, or sometimes the skills that are being asked for by the employer are not things that they feel they have or they got from school. Where does the disparity come from?
Thank you very much, Mikali. I think we'll have to look at the longer history of education in totality over a period of time to understand the context of all this, what's going on right now. And education has gone through an evolution just like all other sectors in life. I mean, just a few minutes ago, we were talking about technology. We were talking about mobile phones that we have now. And 30 years ago, you did not have that kind of facility.
That's true.
You had to go to a fixed line to try and call somebody, and so on and so forth. So universities have been in existence for as long as maybe 8 centuries, 1,000 years. When you go to the northern African countries like Morocco, there is the Fez University that has been there for almost 900 years. You go to medieval Europe, 500 years, 600 years old universities. And what the objectives for teaching and university education has changed over time. Yeah. Many years back, students were being trained to become thinkers. They were being trained to become academics. There were a lot of theoretical things. The medical doctor was also a poet. The poet was also a surgeon, and so on and so forth. So really the philosophers, when you look at people like Aristotle, they were thinkers and philosophers, but they were also doing their physics and Newton theories and so on. So at that point in time, the specialization was not an issue. It was a question of learning for academic purposes, for academia pursuits. Over time, that has changed. Even when I went to university about 40 years ago, it was more of imparting knowledge. So it was a question of being taught the theory behind things, so that you can go and do the practicals outside the university. All that has now changed to where we are. And today, even before we speak about universities, even our basic education, primary, secondary education, before universities, we moved from, for some of us who were in school in post-independence, to the early 1980s, where we did the 7 years in primary, we did 4 years in secondary, 2 years in high school, and then 3 years in university. Then the early 80s, the 844 system started, where now it was 8 years in primary, 4 years in. So the earlier 7-4-2-3 system was more of imparting knowledge, giving theories, giving you the basics of things. Then you would go to the job market and do whatever you needed to do. The 844 system was brought so that you could develop talent within. That's why so many subjects were introduced at class 8 in primary school. So you do art and craft, you do cooking, you do biology, all in the same classroom.
Yes.
So you become a scientist, you become all these things. And now it was realized that, again, we were training students more for examinations rather than for the job market. And today, now we are talking about the competence-based curriculum. So that right from grade 1, the student is, and the parents and everybody within the education system will be tuning this student to look at what is best for them, even before they reach junior school, high school, and the secondary school. So at universities, we have also lived with this change of situation. And we see with a lot of pain when we see our former students on the streets holding, placards saying, please give me a job. Or this engineering student who is going to work at Mjengo during the day and go back to study the engineering in the evening, things like that. I think it will be a bit of a situation. So right now what universities have done then is we have said we have to adjust ourselves to the new thinking, the new paradigm, the new job market. And we start right from the curriculum development. So for example, Wikali is just joined first year.
Yes.
And in 4 years' time, she wants to be a media person. So we have to teach Wikali from first year to fourth year, knowing that she's going to become a media person. So the curriculum that we have developed for these media people, at the start, we have to involve the media people first, the industry. What is it that you are looking for before this student who is in first year joins you?
Yes.
So they contribute, the industry now contributes to the curriculum development.
Okay.
What are the practical things that they need to learn? What are the theoretical things that they need to learn? What attachments do they need to have before they can come out? So the curriculum now is embedded in such a way that every 4 years we have to review that curriculum to respond to the market situation. So all curriculums that are currently being taught at universities, and the Commission for University Education insists on this, must have public participation, both from the industry and from previous graduates, alumni of that particular course.
Okay.
What is it that they lacked when they now went to the job market, and so on. Then during the period of time, we have to put, other than the semesters where the lecturers are going to give them the theoretical lessons in class, they must have an industrial attachment before they can exit the university. And in a practical setting, so we have to, so for me, actually, I want to market Umma now with with Switch TV, so that all our media students who are going to come out can actually come here and do a session, what Mikhail is doing.
Yes.
And by the time they're graduating, they actually can stand an interview and be able to do this.
So we sort of like now change the tactic and work backwards. As you join, because we know how many schools we have and what we are teaching.
Absolutely.
Now we work backwards. Oh yeah, knowing that this is where, is it backwards or forward? I think forward, in terms of this is where you want to end up. Now let's understand what the job market needs, and then we impart that in our lessons into our students, just making sure that now they understand.
That's
and
true.
now with the internship that happens during the course of the study also helps them understand what is expected of them. There's also the element of soft skills, where not just what is being taught in class, but it's how you carry yourself, how you communicate to people. And maybe you're in the medicine field, because if you're in the communication field, you have to learn that. But then how do you make sure that they also get these soft skills depending on what career that they've chosen in university?
True, and that's exactly what has happened now. Is we've introduced in the first year of learning, the first 2 semesters, what we call common courses.
Okay.
And common courses will be done by every student irrespective of their profession. So the nursing student, the medical student, the communication student, the Islamic Sharia student will all have to attend that. This is one is communication. How to express yourself in English. For the time being, we are doing English, but for those students who are going to do Bachelor of Education with other languages, Swahili, German, or whatever else language they do, then they will also have to learn that. The second course that we do is called critical thinking.
Okay.
Analysis of a situation, irrespective of whatever course background that you are doing.
Yeah.
That critical thinking, you do it for 1 full semester. And then at the end of the year, when you are being at the end of your course, when you are being given the powers to read and do all that appertains, actually it just means that you use the critical thinking that you have learned from this university to be able to enter into the job market. Thirdly, all students who are doing various courses that require certain outlook, all right, the law students, there's a way they must dress.
Yes.
I mean, so they have to. The dress code is in the code of conduct. Absolutely, and they have to start from first year. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to dress like you're doing something else when you're actually going to go to a law court, a court of law.
Yes.
The media personality, they will have certain levels of dress code. The nursing and the hospital people will have certain. So all those things will have to be taught, and later. Maybe in the 4th year or so, they will also be taught a few lessons on management skills, and not too detailed, but that they will have to learn.
Need.
Yeah.
We can't ignore the fact that the generation that is there now in university, there's the era of social media where they see other people who are doing better than they are in terms of money, not knowing where this money is coming from. So you want instant gratification and you want it fast. And some people will say, instead of holding the placards, you need to tarmac. And we did that. We tarmacked, and it shouldn't come easy just because you went to university or because you see other people who are making it faster than you. Is it something that you have seen, and how can we address the fact that microwave generation should come to an end?
So far, we have not practically dealt with that at the university. But for subsequent vice chancellors and managers of universities, this is going to be a key thing.
Yeah.
Because the millennials, as we call them, are very restless. They want a lot of money for a very, in terms of the effort put
Yes.
might not be as much. Little effort, huge profits. And these are things that we will have to find ways of ensuring that for those who get to universities, for those who get to diploma, tertiary institutions, they know that this is a gradual process.
Yes.
You're not going to get all the money that you need for the least effort that you put in. So it's not something that we have solved now,
but
it's a problem that is there. And really that's why we have embedded in every curriculum that every 4 years, this curriculum has to be reviewed.
Okay.
It becomes redundant, and you have to look at the job market again. And those 4 years were put there so that it takes one student from the first year to the fourth year to graduate. The next first year who is coming after those 4 years should have a different curriculum, essentially.
Yes.
The theoretical content will be basically the same, but now the soft things that are in there will change.
Absolutely.
But it is a time bomb, I can tell you.
It is. It is because I think it keeps getting worse as the generations keep changing. But like we said, it's something that can be handled. It's conversation, and it needs to happen. How can people join Umma University, and is it currently ongoing when it comes to intake? Is it happening right now? When is the intake? What is required as we come to this the end of this conversation?
Thank you very much. For Umma University, we have 3 intakes in a year.
Okay.
We have 3 what we call trimesters or semesters. We start January to May. That's one trimester. So the intake will be in January. We have May to September to August. That's the May intake. And then we have the September to December. And in fact, right now, as we speak, the September intake is ongoing.
Absolutely.
We're just about to close. 30th of September, we'll close. Any student who comes after that, we will try and fix them for the January 2022 intake. As I said, we have completely digitized systems for application.
Okay.
You just get to our website. On the beginning of the page, there will be an application process, which you will download the form. It will also give you the financial, as I said, resources that you require.
Okay.
You will also apply from there. There are a number of other contacts that you will have. And
then you'll find them on the page.
Exactly.
Our time is really
everything
up, Dr. Farah. Our time is really up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming through. And
as I said, I mean, I can take
you told
3 days workshop to do this. And,
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming through. And thank you so much for tuning in. But do not tune out just yet, because we have an amazing, not really show, but an experience for you, because Switch TV has partnered with the Kisumu County government, and today being the UN World Tourism Day, well, we are showing live the experience, everything that is happening at Ndere Island in Kisumu. We have Robert Burali, who is representing Switch on that end. We'll have many dignitaries having conversations on that end as well. We'll have the Tourism, Culture and Sport Kisumu County, that is Achio Jani Alai. She was here last week. Dr. Esther Munyiri, who's the Director, Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center, also there. We'll have Mike Masharia, who's the CEO of Kenya Association of Hotel Keepers and Caterers. We have Mohammed Hersi, who's the Group Director of Operations, Pullman Tours and Safaris, and Safina Kwekwe, who's the Principal Secretary, Tourism, Gender Affairs and Wildlife. And this is happening live on Switch TV. You can catch this online on our website and live on TV. So this is going to be starting shortly, so do not touch that dial. Thank you so much for tuning in for Full Circle with Mwikali. We highly appreciate it. Have a great World Tourism Day.